really should update that picture. That's like a decade old.
Hey, Redcasters, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Go Big Red.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast, the Husker Fan Sports Show.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast. I am your host, Redcast Rob, and we are doing a special edition of Redcast with Rob tonight. I'm super excited to be back. I've taken about a month off, and let me tell you, I'm a little bit, God, I don't even know how to say this. My life has just taken some really good turns recently, and some things have happened, and I just feel like everybody should know I finally earned my doctorate. It is in actual from the Powder Drink University. I have a doctorate in Kool-Aid sciences. So I am now officially a PhD. I've never been so happy, feel so honored. I spent months and months upon time out in Hastings earning this thing, learning every single in and out of the factory itself. And so, you know what? With that being said, tonight's Redcast with Rob. I've got a special guest here tonight, but really he's not a guest. We're going to call him a co-host tonight because it's Eric Francis from Hail Varsity, longtime photographer for Hail Varsity, and we've had him on before, and so he's basically just Redcast Eric at this point. And we just came out. Well, we're part of the Hurrdat Sports Network. Hurrdat owns Hail Varsity. Eric works for Hail Varsity. They just came out with their year in review edition for Hail Varsity magazine. And Eric wanted to get together and talk a little bit about some of the photographs that are on there because they're calling this the turning points, a year in photo. And, Eric had opportunity to take some of these photos, sent some to me. So we'll be showing them tonight. We're going to talk about them. We're just going to talk Husker sports. Who knows? We may talk about whiskey too, because I did bring him a bottle of whiskey last time I saw him. And
that stuff is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, that's from, it's called 477 Distilling. And there's a big story behind that. It basically 477 was the number of votes it took to lift prohibition in the city of Greeley back in the day. And so 477 Distilling is in place. My good buddy Matt Estrin is the owner. They make some of the best cocktails that you will have this side of the Mississippi. And I would go to Matt with anybody.
I'll go ahead and put in a standing order every time you head back this way.
Oh, absolutely. And I would be more than happy to bring it to you. The best part about it is that I went there to go pick up that bottle for you, and they just gave it to me because the local places, they love it when I take stuff back because, basically it'll bring in tourism dollars someday. So hopefully if you're planning on coming out here for the game in Boulder, out in September, hey, if you want to stop off and stay the night in Greeley and go check out some of our local distilleries or our local breweries, I'd love to host you. And yeah, I mean, seriously, the hotel rooms will be a lot cheaper, and it's only about an hour drive to Boulder from here. So if you're making that road trip, consider it, because I'd love to have a drink with some of you. I'd have a beer. We could go to 477. We could have dinner at Austin's, which is a great restaurant. Just let me know. Hit me up. DMs are open. So before we get started, though, I do have a few things that I need to talk about, mostly our sponsors. First off, we've got Alumni Hall. They have two locations in Lincoln. One is downtown at 1120 P Street, and the other is in South Point Pavilions behind Barnes & Noble. You can check them out at alumnihall.com/Nebraska-Cornhuskers. Also, with some of our upcoming shows that we have, Happy Chris, the happiest Husker fan on Twitter, he's going to be on here on Wednesday, May 24th at 8 p.m. That's this Wednesday. This guy is a great follow. If you're not already following him on Twitter, you need to be. He seriously is the happiest guy around, and we cannot wait to have him on the show. So, that's we're looking forward to that one, Chris, and I'll try and catch you for that. Also, Tyler Pedersen. I think that's how you say it, or maybe it's Peterson. He's a Husker homer, Scotch connoisseur, trying to spread some positivity in an angry world. He's one of our Twitter fans. He's going to be coming on. He's also a big NU donor, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, or he and Honky are. And that's next Tuesday on May 30th at 8 p.m. Central Time. So check it out. Throw him a follow, too, at Tyler S. Peterson, Pedersen. And also to our good friends over at Pipeline Jerky, also Husk guys at pipeline-jerky.com. You can use the code REDCAST and officially gets you a 10% discount. Great idea for a gift for all of you people out there looking for Father's Day gift. We all have fathers, whether they are our actual dads or not your actual dad or your grandfather, or for all I know, I mean, Tom Brady was the Raiders daddy for like 20 years, so hopefully I'll probably be sending him some jerky as well. And finally, Smack and Smooch. Shane and Laura over there at Smack and Smooch for all your quality apparel and custom made orders. Throw them a follow on Twitter or on Facebook. Shoot them a DM. Scan the code here. They make some great quality t-shirts and apparel, whether you want it for your company or you want to buy a Redcast shirt. We've got our official Redcast store going through there. So scan that QR code, go to the Redcast store, order some swag, throw me a photo or something, tag me on Twitter or tag the Redcast on Twitter, and we'd love to see you guys in your Redcast gear. All right, enough of that. Eric, how are you, buddy?
Doing good. Just came in hot tonight after running the kid around to his workouts and all that good stuff.
Yeah, how's all that going? They're getting started with like spring practices still, or like pre-summer practices for football?
No, all the spring sports have finished up and school ends this week, and so I'm sure pretty much summer conditioning and all that stuff pretty much starts right away.
Yeah, my son's gonna actually be playing football next year for Riverdale High School up out here in Colorado. It's technically like a Brighton or Thornton program. He doesn't go there, but he's in that district, and his school where he goes doesn't have a football team, so he's gonna go play for them. And he starts his summer workouts on May 30th. And then that goes for a whole week and ends up in a 7-on-7. And it's his first year playing football. My first kid playing high school level sports. I'm pretty excited for him. I can't wait to see him get smacked around out there, because hopefully that'll make him focus a little bit more. So I just told him, I said 2 things, man. You need to keep working out and keep your head on a swivel.
Keep your head on a swivel. Yeah. And you never know. I know exactly what you're talking about. You never know how they're gonna respond until the first time they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah,
and that's how it was with my last one here with Wyatt. He didn't play until junior high. I was pretty adamant about don't play until you really, really want to, and puberty was really kind to his body. And testosterone flipped his mental outlook on things, and he really wanted to play. So, we started working out with my friend at Warren Academy and with Steve. And
we know Steve. Steve's a friend of the program.
Oh man, I've known Steve for like 15 plus years. So
yeah, we had him on last summer, I think it was, talking about the Warren Academy. So
yeah, he was our first interview on the eye test. But so I started Wyatt out there, and then all that, like a year's worth of work. And then that next season comes around, and you just don't know how they're going to respond until the first time they get,
punched in the mouth,
till they start hitting. And the week they started hitting, I waited till about like Wednesday or Thursday before I even brought it up. And he got in the truck after practice, and I'd been watching practice because I can park up on the hill and kind of watch a little bit. And I just asked him, so, how's it going? And he just looked me straight in the eye and said, Dad, I really like the hitting part. And I was
I'm not so traditional. My son was telling me, he's like, oh, I can take it. And so I took him out in the field and I threw a ball to him like he was catching a punt, because I told him he was going to have to learn how to play special teams. And then I basically chased him down, grabbed him, and threw him on the ground like an actual tackle, around the waist, got him down. I did it to him about 3 times. Then I made him try to tackle me, and he came at me, and I seriously ran him. I mean, he's barely like $120 at this point, right? He'll be a sophomore. He's just started really lifting weights seriously. And I plowed him over the first time. I felt so bad. It took him like a minute to get up, and I felt terrible. And I was just like, God, if anyone's watching this, like from afar, I look like a terrible father right now. But at the same time,
services is on the way.
Yeah, don't worry. I know plenty of good lawyers, but But yeah, we had a pretty good time. But he kept at it, and even that, I mean, he went to a couple camps last year. He went to the McCaffrey camp here at UNC. So that's pretty much what it is. And
Right.
so tonight's show, I mean, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be BS in here a bunch and hanging out and talking a little bit about this upcoming Hail Varsity. Well, it should be out now. You said it's out. Mine's probably in the mail.
I've got a copy of it. I picked up a copy at the office today. So
okay, yeah. Honky always seems to get his before I get mine, about a day or two, and then and it comes out. But I love this photo. Did you take this one?
Yeah, that one's mine. Yeah, it is. I think sometimes they start to run together. We shoot so many of them, I forget who did what.
Yeah, because it's you and John. You remind me of John's last name. John Peterson. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. So, I mean, why don't you? I mean, you're kind of wrapping up your school year too, right? Because
that's kind of the reason that we did this issue this way, because it kind of is the end to our season as well, right? I mean, we'll have the yearbook coming out in a few weeks, but there's just everything's kind of done.
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot to do over the summer, although we'll have little stories and things we work on, but there's not a lot to do. The bulk of the hay is in the barn at this point. So it was just seemed like a good time to do kind of a year in photos kind of thing. And then in our discussions, we just kind of settled on we were trying to come up with kind of a theme, and it just seemed like this was a year full of turning points.
Yeah,
so it just kind of hit very naturally.
Yeah, and I took a look at some of these photos, obviously, because Honky and I Honky did me a huge favor, put this slideshow together. But I was taking a look at some of the photos, and there's a couple on here that we'll definitely talk about a turning point or two, and one of them I was there for. And I remember you and I have talked about a particular photo that you took on there, and we'll just call it the face. The face, and it'll probably be one of the last ones we talk about here, but there's a bunch we've got here. There's basketball, there's volleyball, there's gymnastics, talk about some of these. I mean, what's it like from your perspective, like to be at all these games and taking all of these shots and seeing all these athletes and trying to find the perfect photo, as you
sometimes you don't know what the perfect photo is going to be until time gives you the context, right? Like, you take the Kinsey Knuckles photo right there that, I just happen to be shooting the players walking off the court. And then, I snapped this picture, and I hadn't even really processed what her loss was going to be to the team. And then as you look back on the season, it was that was kind of like a big moment to lose her. And so, when you look back on some of these things, they have the additional context of history, more or less, weights them a little bit heavier.
Yeah. It's God, I heard something today. So I listened to this another podcast. This great podcast. It's called 60 Songs That Explain the 90s, right? And it's great because it goes back and just reviews, and really they're on episode 80, so don't believe them. It's this guy, Rob Harville, he writes for The Ringer, and he goes back, and he's an awesome music critic. We're about the same age. I think he's about 5 or 6 years younger than me. And he reviews these songs. He talks about these bands, and it's funny because I don't want to call it revisionist history, but a lot of times when you go back and you listen to these songs and you put them in context, it's almost like the pictures or the songs write the history, right? Like you get them, they're in place, and then you go back and after you have some time, like you said, to process it or to start to hear the real story, it almost, you kind of go back in your head and you're like, wow, those concerts that I went to when I was 12, 13, 14 years old really had so much more importance at this point in my life than they did at that point, because then I was just a kid. I had no idea, back then 2 years felt like 20,
Forever.
now 2 years feels like 20 seconds. So it's kind of one of those weird instances where I guess for you, sometimes you go back and look at stuff and you find some gems in there that you had no idea even existed until, after the fact, right?
Well, history, like I said, history puts a little context on things, and that's not just. I mean that's a little bit of the story of photography, because a lot of the most historic images in history are not particularly great photographs, but history provides a context to them that weights them so heavily in just the context point of
Yeah.
it, that they get lumped in with great photographs when maybe they weren't that great from an aesthetic standpoint and composition and technically and all that, but because they were a point in history,
hmm
they
So
become.
why are these other ones like turning points? We talked about Kenzie Knuckles, but with the
Well,
basketball and the
not
gymnastics
every. Yeah, okay, so when we attack this job of trying to do this, we put out kind of a call to the staff to say, hey, you guys that you cover certain beats, what do you consider some of the turning points? And it doesn't necessarily, we didn't want to be so kind of on the nose with an actual point. Sometimes it was a person, sometimes it was a moment, sometimes you know but that each season, each sport kind of had its thing
hmm
that the season turned on.
Yeah. So
Like, it's not up here, but the John's picture of Kinsey.
mhm,
You know, it's a it's a very regular, what I call a regular photo. I mean, because we shoot that one a lot,
mhm.
but it was Casey.
Yeah.
And well, that's what I meant to say, not Kinsey, because I was just looking at it.
Well,
But
so actually, but let me
Casey,
stop you real quick, just because I want to give some of these, because some people are going to be listening to this and not always watching it on YouTube. So I want to give some context here. The picture of Kenzie Knuckles that he's describing is of Kenzie and a coach walking off, and I assume this is right after her injury, and she's reaching up and she's touching hands with a fan as she's walking off the court into the locker room, is what I think this is. Is that a correct?
no, she's the one in the sweats.
She's in the
Yeah,
in the sweats.
she's being
Okay,
helped
okay.
off the floor
Sorry,
by.
it's a smaller picture on my
Yeah,
screen, so I can't
so it's
really
hard to
see
see.
it.
Yeah, no, she's being
Okay.
helped off the floor by a teammate.
Okay, yeah. So
Let me see which one it is right now.
yeah, it's in the top left or something like that. And then another one that we're looking at here, it's a gymnast. He's pretty much, vertical or almost perpendicular to the ground on the what is that? The high bar, is that what they call
Yep.
that? God, my sister was a gymnast, so I should know these things, right? Talk about that one a little bit. Is there, for gymnastics and just some of these sports where, it doesn't quite get the publicity that, sports like volleyball and football and
Right.
basketball.
We try to work those into our coverage as much as we can fit them into our timetable, to get some of those other sports that don't, so we try to cover gymnastics at least once a year. We try to cover wrestling at least once, maybe twice a year. Track, we try to get to. Tennis, we try to get to when we can. So, but obviously the bulk of our time is football, volleyball, basketball, and
Mhm.
baseball, softball.
Yeah, and these basketball pictures on there, one of them is and God, I wish I could see the players, but one is the women's team on the bottom there. And the top is the men's team, I believe. And they're
Yeah.
playing Creighton. Is that Creighton?
Yes,
The
that was from the
uniforms.
Creighton
I was
game.
gonna say I can see the blue and white on there. So yeah, Creighton, by the way, who hasn't beaten Nebraska basketball since last year. So
Yeah, that was kind of that was a little bit of a, there were the kind of two things with basketball season. It was the big win over Creighton, and and Casey emerging from the bench to become a star.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I said, sometimes like this one, we really like these images that I shot from up high, because we don't get that opportunity to shoot this angle very rarely.
How do you shoot that angle?
You're up at CHI Center now, up in the catwalks, leaning over a ledge with a really big lens.
No, thank you.
And
I'm good. Yeah, you have fun with that.
Yeah, no, I think I spent an entire half of basketball up there.
Oh man. Yeah, I am deathly afraid of heights, which is weird because there are some things that I will do when I'm up there, but like if I'm on a ledge or something like that, like, oh man.
Yeah, it's I'm not crazy about heights either, but there's something happens.
That's why I'm short
when you're working, right? And
yeah, I purposely stopped growing just because I was getting too far off the ground. So I mean, that's what I tell everybody, at least, Let's see some of these other pictures too that we've got going on here. Talk to me. There's one on the bottom, and in particular too, that we might want to talk about.
Yeah, that one, the one on the bottom, wound up being our cover after Scott got fired.
Well, yeah, it's just basically Scott, and I think everybody has seen that picture, and if you haven't seen it, it's the one at the Georgia Southern game, and I think he's probably looking up at the scoreboard.
No, he's got his eyes closed, and it just kind of read to me that because I kind of had been low key stalking him since Ireland, because Ireland it was kind of a no brainer when we were talking turning point for football. I think the turning point in football almost happened before the season started. I mean, it happened in Ireland. They lost.
I thought it happened when he slid down the pole in front of the building.
They lost that game in Ireland.
The railing.
We all knew what was going to happen. It was over after that.
Yeah.
But the Georgia Southern game was that was the moment.
I was there. I brought my wife to that game. Every time I bring my wife to a football game, they seem to lose. So she's not coming with me to Boulder. I asked her if she wanted to go to Boulder this year, and I said, never mind. I just bought myself a ticket. I'm going to go by myself, because the last time I went to a football game by myself, what happened, Eric?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Hey, comeback win.
That's right. Against Rutgers. Hopefully, though, we won't have to come back against CU. We'll just blow them out of the water.
I'll be really disappointed if we have to come back against a team that has been practicing for 2 weeks.
Oh my God. Are they even practicing?
Well, I'm just saying, by the time he gets guys on campus and they get to start installing an offense, they're going to have like 2 weeks, or 3 weeks before they got to play a game.
Yeah, and I think our cornerbacks might be one of our stronger position groups this year too, when I go back and look, because they're all returning, aren't they, for the most part? Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. And that's probably the deepest.
Right? And that's the deepest part of their team. Well, and the deepest part of their team is going to be their one wide receiver and their quarterback, who are going to try to play catch the whole game. So, we're God, I can't stand the bus. Living here in Colorado, it is like, I swear to God, I can't wear a Husker thing anywhere right now without somebody saying anything to me. And I was like, where were you guys like the last couple years? Like, where were you last year when you were 1-11? Like, nobody ever said anything to me. Now all of a sudden, everybody's a CU fan. Everybody's out buying tickets. What astounds
me is, there is zero evidence that he's going to be a successful coach in a Power 5 conference. Zero.
We're looking at a photo of a guy who was successful in a basically a D1A program and did not have success at. I say D1A. He wasn't D1A. It was
but you're hitting at what I've been saying for a few weeks now, which is one of the reasons, and it came to me several weeks ago, that I realized that one of the reasons Nebraska fans are like not having this whole prime Colorado.
We know better.
Because we have very recent personal experience with the hot coach of the moment who caught lightning in a bottle at a mid-major program in a mid-major conference and had some success and came up and tried to play big boy ball and wasn't ready.
And talked a lot about how everyone was going to have to make a change to adjust to him and all this other stuff.
How he was going to change the game.
Yeah.
And you know what? So I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I just hope that TCU boat races the will to live out of that team too. Like
TCU will absolutely boat race them.
Oh my God, it's yeah. We're
And
gonna have to.
I can't remember who I was talking to, but I think Nebraska's going to beat them by 17, 24.
Oh God, please don't start that now yet.
I just-
I'm the Kool-Aid drinker that, but we got a whole summer. I got a whole game of golf to play in Minnesota and a game to watch there. So, this whole CU thing and their whole way that they've been handling tickets for this game and everything like that has just kind of been driving me up the wall. So I don't know if you've been on Twitter, you follow me, you retweet my stuff all the time. But let me tell you what a nightmare it's been. They called me because I had season tickets for CU for like 3 years after the last Nebraska game because I wanted to stay on the list knowing that this game was going to be coming up in a few years.
Mhm.
Then COVID happened and I didn't buy tickets. And then I didn't buy tickets in 21. And then last year I just knew they were going to be terrible and that I wasn't going to be able to give the tickets away. Right. Because I was just selling them to my friends who were fans of whoever they were playing for the games that I was doing. And so I didn't buy them last year. Well, so they call me the first day for deposits. I put down a deposit for season tickets. A couple months go by. I haven't heard anything. I call and they're like, oh, if you didn't get an email, you're not getting season tickets. And I was like, cool. When can I buy games for an individual game or tickets for an individual game? And they were like, well, we'll let you know it's sometime in May. And I was like, what is going on here? So then I get an email that basically says on May 16th, only season ticket holders can go in and buy individual game tickets. Okay, well, I'm not a season ticket holder. So then I get another one that says you can buy individual game tickets. That's today on May 22nd, but Nebraska will not be included in that pre-sale. You can only buy them when they go on sale to the general public on May 24th, which is 11 a.m. Central Time, Husker fans. So make sure that you go and log in, get your credit card information, get everything you need ready, create an account if you have to, because you go directly to CU Buffs Athletic site to buy your tickets for those games. Okay, so make sure that you do that. But so I went and logged in today just to kind of see, oh, they're probably lying to me. Yeah, they were lying. I went on, I clicked on there. I got a ticket for the CU Nebraska game. I mean, it was $330 for basically lower bowl section 108, row 39. So seat 26, come find me. I'm not scared of you, CU fans. Report me. I don't care. You know what? Because I'll be at that game.
Yeah, they got a salary to pay.
Yeah, they do. They have a big time salary. My cousin she just graduated high school. My wife's cousin, she just graduated high school and she's going to CU next year. And her mom and her stepdad both are CSU fans, but they were both wearing CU Buffs shirts at this party on Saturday that I went to. And I was just like, what is wrong with you? And they're like, we know, we're sorry. They're like, but seriously, they said it took them probably 2 days of shopping, like going to different stores, trying to find something that didn't say Prime on it. Cause they're like, we didn't want anything with that idiot's name on a t-shirt. Like, it's like everything said Prime. And I was like, well, you guys are going to basically be paying his salary with how much you pay in her tuition as well.
Ooh,
so
I wonder if he's getting I bet you he's getting a royalty.
Oh, he is
off of everything that says Prime on it.
Oh, he is. And it is everywhere, man. It's almost like they purposely pull some stuff off of shelves and just replace it with the Prime stuff, like Walmart, Target, everything that sells CU stuff around here. It just says Prime on there. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. He has to be, right? I mean, there has to be some kind of licensing because it's Nike, I think, too, which makes sense because, Prime was a Nike guy the entire time. So the whole deal apparently makes sense for him. And he's probably raking it in and his son's probably raking it in. And then their wide receivers probably raking it in. And I don't know, man, there's going to be some discourse on that team this year. And I'm just willing it their way.
I don't think you have to will it. I really struggle to see any way that you're gonna form a bonded team of mercenaries in just a few weeks.
It can't happen. So yeah. Talk about some of these other pictures up there, man. I see one's from practice. Sorry, I'm like, okay, we've ranted about CU enough here.
Which one's from practice?
I don't know. Is there a practice up there? Is that a game? I can't tell. What the pictures are really small on my screen. I apologize.
No, that one. No, that's Maryland.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
because, like I said, Ireland was the turning point.
Oh, that's inside the thing. Okay, yeah. And then the other one was who's on there too. There we
That's
go.
Frank.
Yo, I know who it is, but you got to describe the picture because we got people listening.
Well, that's true.
I'm
No,
watching.
I mean, that's this whole, Frank, I think the whole ceremony with Frank at the spring game, I think was kind of like it was almost like the culmination of the Trev Alberts righting all the wrongs tour, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Trev has been going out of his way to fix everything that had been screwed up over the last 10 to 20 years. All the wrongs that were done. And I know some people have differing opinions of Frank. My personal opinion is he was done dirty.
Yeah.
Before he had a chance to make adjustments and fix some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he got run out of town before it was necessary.
Yeah, and I was you were down there taking pictures. I was up in the press box for the spring game watching that, and as you're not really supposed to be making any noise or talking too much when they're doing. And it was halftime, and I will tell you that it was actually pretty cool because the murmur in the room was like, "Wow, this is cool. Like this is what the fans. This is what the fans need." That was kind of the consensus going on there. I spoke with Sip a little bit about it. He thought it was super cool. Sam McEwen was up there. I asked him like what he thought about that. He just kind of nodded his head and was like, yeah. Sam is treated me really well that day. I don't know, especially at the press conference, there's a funny story behind, I actually got a question in at the press conference. And it was pretty surreal because I was trying to get Sam to ask the question for me. And he looked at me and he goes, "You ask." And I was like, and then there was a pause after a question, or maybe there wasn't a pause, but in my head there was. So I just asked it. And I think everybody at the Redcast pretty much died. They all thought that, oh my God, I can't believe Rob's asking a question at a Nebraska press conference. But my question was legit. I wanted to know if, Sims saw an opportunity to run the ball up the middle on his touchdown, or if it was like a play, a called play, a called run, or, because they spread out 5 wide, which, here at Nebraska, we all know is like the quarterback trap. And, it was, so I asked him if it was and he just said that it was a called play, but then he's like, I just saw the opportunity, so I ran it. So I'm not sure. I kind of got both answers from one answer,
right.
which is good for him, so because that's the way you should answer question about a specific play, I suppose. But, I was just wondering, because that's like a classic Nebraska play, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Cool. I don't know what just happened to my pictures, but that's okay. So, as we kind of moved along in the whole, year in pictures and everything like that, was there any specific images or any moments, say for like baseball even this year, where, any recent games, anything like that, where you saw something happen where you're just like, this could be the moment?
Baseball to me, when I thought about the baseball season and how that went, it was clear to me for a month now, at least, that the story for me of the baseball team this year was going to be lack of pitching.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have enough.
Mm-hmm.
And because that reveals itself first and foremost in your midweek games.
Yeah.
Whether you have a deep bullpen or not.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And so that meant if the starters had a bad day, they were in trouble.
Yeah. They
I think that's pretty much how the season played out. So when we were choosing photos, I kind of lobbied for I don't remember if I shared it with you or not, but the baseball photo we used was kind of a blurred action photo of a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, in my mind, that kind of embodied how the pitching
was that the one on the this one on the cover?
No,
Okay.
We ran another one inside.
Okay.
And I don't remember if I shared it with you or not.
I don't know either. Yeah. Yeah, because like for me, for baseball, it's been an interesting up and down season. I'm boycotting my professional baseball team right now, and I know a lot of people think that's silly, but I'm a big Oakland A's fan, and their ownership has just like done everybody wrong, and it's not even fun anymore to watch the games because
Right.
that like no matter how hard they compete, they'll figure out a way to just dismantle the team. They're in the midst. I don't mind if they move to Las Vegas. I just need them to figure it out and get a new stadium. And so I've really focused my efforts this year on Husker baseball. That's been because I love baseball, and there's nothing better to me than listening to a baseball game on the radio in the middle of the day, or even
Right.
at night, right? And so, I've been focusing a lot on that, and that was what you said. Those midweek games, you quickly figure out, like you said, how teams are going to be. I will say this: can I tell you my turning point so far for this season? And I hope the momentum carries. They lost that game, the continuation game, to Creighton at Creighton, right in Omaha,
Mhm.
when the game was being played in Lincoln prior, and then they had to go in. And I kind of was upset that they didn't try to finish that game out because they only needed, the 3 outs, and then that game would have been called and completed because of where they were at in the game. So they lost that game 6-5. And after that game, the team had a team only meeting out in center field at Creighton on their field in Omaha. And nobody knows exactly what was said. The team hasn't talked about it. Gary Sharp talked a little bit about how he tried to find out a little bit more, and the coach just said, I don't know. The players asked for it. We let them have it. They talked about it. And since that meeting, they've gone 6-1, right? They won 5 games in a row. They lost 1 game this weekend to Purdue, which is fine. You just win the series, right? That's baseball. You win the series. And then they won on Sunday going away. They got the lead. Their late pitching was a little bit sketchy, but they still won. And, going into the tournament, that's the kind of momentum you want, right? Like everybody talks about momentum going into the tournament. And we took it away. It was sweet revenge against Purdue after the BS that they pulled last year with canceling the game. And now we're, going into the tournament. I think it starts Wednesday.
Something like that.
I haven't even looked at the schedule.
It's something like that.
Yeah, I've needed to clear my head for a few days from all things sports. And so it's been, so now I'll probably go back tomorrow, look it up, figure out the schedule, see how everything's lining up. They play Rutgers, starts Tuesday, and he plays Rutgers on Wednesday. That's what I thought. Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you, Honky. And, so that was my turning point for the baseball season. I know it's really late in the season, but now's the time where, like, if they go deep into this weekend, they still have a chance maybe for a regional, probably not, but they're going to have to win the tournament. But, it's not impossible, right? And so,
we've seen it before that they've come out of nowhere, put a few days together and won the tournament, because that's really all you need.
That's all you need. And
need a few days.
And frankly, it's frankly, in baseball too, it's not unheard of to go 10-1 to end the season, and get yourself into the tournament. Like, it's baseball, and they were supposed to be, before the season, they were supposed to be that team that could go 10-1 and, only lose, 1 out of every 10 games. And it didn't end up that way. You knew early on they were going to have problems. And so we watched Major League.
I was going to say, that's what it came to mind when you were talking about the A's.
Yeah. I was going to say, remember they were 20 games back. They were 20 games back. It was the 2014 season. I'm trying to remember. They all blend together because they've had some crazy years. And the last game of the season against the Rangers, and they won the game, won the division, and then lost in the first round of the playoffs. So, but they were there. They were there.
You just play to give yourself a chance.
Yeah. That's all you do. It's like, you make the postseason, and then everything out, everything there is to chance, right? As Billy Bean would say, it's a crapshoot. So
you make the postseason, and you're playing with house money, because then you're not.
Sorry, Alex, if you're listening, that's Honky's son. When he says the CRAP word, he gets yelled at. But crapshoot's different than saying the word crap. Okay, Alex, I just want you to know. Yeah, but I'm excited for that. I mean, that's the cool thing about college baseball, is it kind of is like that filler between, the end of the year, spring football, and then all of a sudden college World Series ends, and next thing you know, we're starting practice for football, and
Right.
you get them geared up for the season.
You're gonna go College World Series, 4th of July weekend. Holy shit, they report for camp in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm packing my bags and my golf clubs and headed out to TPC Twin Cities to play a little bit of golf with the boys. And then we're going to go to a nice steak dinner, wake up in the morning, and go on Thursday night to a football game in Minneapolis. So that's going to be a hell of a time, man. I'm excited. I really am, Eric. I think you'll be at that game as my guest.
John's doing that.
John's doing that game. Okay.
John's doing that game. I think, unless plans have changed, which they've changed before, so it's not a big deal.
Are you doing CU?
But as of right now, he's doing that one, and I'm gonna go do Colorado.
Okay. Well, if you need someone to carry your bags at Colorado, just let me know. So, I'll hold your cameras for you anytime, as I'm known to do.
Yeah, well, we've done it before without being asked.
And without being asked, man. That's
here. Hold this.
Yeah, I try to tell people I'm a good person. They don't believe it, but I'll tell them all day about it. But yeah, and it's what was your biggest turning point the whole year? Like, I mean, let's not besides Scott, all right? Because let's not talk about Scott.
Was there a bigger turning point than the Georgia Southern game, where
in retrospect, the turning point for Scott was when Trev gave him one more year.
Well,
that's
kind of had to give him one more year.
We knew what was going to happen. It felt so inevitable. And you know what? I don't even want to talk bad about it, because we wouldn't be where we are now with the coach we have now, and the happiness as Husker fans that we all seem to have with the job that Coach Rule is doing at this point, right? Yeah. Hopeful. I mean, well, that's hope. Hope is what we see. Almost 90% of Husker fans right now collectively are hopeful. And I personally don't remember the last time that happened. I think even Redcast Dave is hopeful, and we never see that.
When Scott was hired, everybody was super excited.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think I got more excited when O'Shawn Mathis announced that he was coming to Nebraska than I did when they hired Scott Frost. But my wife was like, "Are you okay? What are you screaming about out there?" And I mean, yeah, I was hopeful. I don't know. So 83.4% of the Redcast is very hopeful. Yeah, I'd like to know who that 16.6% is, and I think that's the math. Was that the right math?
Those are the people that stat is getting whittled away slowly.
Yeah.
Of people that are reluctantly still holding out from jumping on the bandwagon, but I think that number gets eroded every day.
Oh man, hey, you know what? Welcome to the show, Buffs Nation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You missed our entire CU rant, so hopefully you'll go back and listen to that, and you can use that for more billboard material, because you know what? I don't care.
I don't care either.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I ain't hard to find.
I don't think I'm going to be wrong though.
Yeah. No,
I've said it before. I will be surprised.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if they win a game before Halloween. Now I'll give them the CSU game. They should be able to roll the ball out and win that game. But I see the CSU.
Man, don't tell Redcast Skip about that, man.
I was just gonna say I see the CSU game as a 50-50.
Yeah. And I mean, well, it's at CU, so maybe that's where their advantage is that
right.
So they're renewing the rivalry this year, and they're playing at their respective stadiums. And they are playing CSU at CU, I think, the week after we play them. So, whatever. I mean, there you go. I mean, they probably will beat CSU, but it'd be fun to see CSU beat them.
Right. And I'll still be surprised if they beat CSU, because, and it's not, when I say those things, I'm not saying it to be boastful. I'm just seriously, from a logistical standpoint, I don't see how you can get these guys on campus, get them through get used to your program, get used to expectations, all those things that
Get used to a coach that makes you stand up and sit down, fight.
All those things, and much less install a complete offense and a complete defense and be ready for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, while everybody else has been doing it either for years or at least a year. So it's just when I make that statement, I'm just like seriously looking at it from a logistical standpoint.
Yeah. So we came here to promote the Hail Varsity Turning Points magazine. And quite frankly, all this entire show has turned into is just bassing CU, which is fine because honestly, when I agreed with you because you came and you were like, hey, I'd love to come on and talk about this. And I was thinking, it's been a month since I've been on. I've had a lot of pent up aggression, from Twitter interactions and all kinds of other stuff going on. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make this a show where Eric and I just come on and we just BS back and forth, talk some football, maybe we'll talk a few pictures and, let's see where this goes. So I'm more than happy to sit here and talk about exactly that. I will say this. I was trying to think of maybe we can both say one thing nice about CU. Before we end the show. Well, I'm not saying right this minute because I'm going to give you some time to think about it.
I got it. The scenery is amazing. I love Colorado. I grew up visiting Colorado. We vacation in Colorado every year. I love going to Colorado.
I live in Colorado, and I will tell you right now that I actually really do like that stadium for one reason. You want to know what that reason is? Dead & Company plays there every summer, and I will be at those shows coming up. I'm actually going to 311 in Aspen, 311 at Red Rocks, Dead & Company 2 nights in a row on July 2nd and 3rd at Folsom Field. And it should be, I think it's the last time that John Mayer will be playing with the Grateful Dead and that whole lineup because those guys are getting kind of old and up there in age. So, I'm wondering, am I going to see Babcock at any of these shows or anything that?
Don't be surprised if you don't see Babs.
I'm gonna reach out to him because I would love. I mean, seriously, as much as I love Babcock for his Husker football, I would love to just swap some stories with him about the Grateful Dead because I grew up in the Bay Area and I had friends whose parents worked for Grateful Dead Productions, so we used to get tickets for free all the time. And I would go to shows at the Oakland Coliseum, and I went to a show at the Gorge, and I went to a show down at Laguna Seca, and I've been to shows at Shoreline and Sacramento, the State Fair, and here in Boulder. And I mean, I've seen the Dead. I saw the Dead with Jerry over 50 times. And, now, and then I took a hiatus, and now with Dead & Company, I go every summer out in Boulder, and this is going to be the last of the shows. And if anyone has not ever listened to John Mayer actually play guitar, get away from his pop stuff, Your Body's a Wonderland, all that other CRAP. Sorry, Alex. You start talking about that kind of stuff. And John Mayer is a world-class guitar player. He trained under Eric Clapton, and he's absolutely amazing. So I recommend it. If you can get to Boulder for one of those shows, any of you Husker fans, and you're into it, absolutely do it. So there's my positive thing about Boulder.
There you go.
Yeah. I worked in Boulder for 8 or 9 years, and it was a freaking nightmare commuting out there every day.
That is not an easy stadium to get in and out.
No, it's why I left California, so I didn't have to deal with traffic and people like that every single day. So, I mean, a lot of people talk about it. I actually did it. I can see it's funny because I know our listeners can't really see this, but I can see Honky in the background just cracking up over this conversation, and and the fact that he's cracking up is just making me happy. So
I'll tell you one of my favorite things about favorite memories or favorite stories about Colorado was when the day that we were walking down as a family, walking down the street in Estes Park, and I look over and there's an entire store.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
An entire store of just Husker stuff. And then I walk in there and there is, and this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s maybe.
Uh-huh.
And there was because I used to work for a different sports magazine and they had some on the table there. And I just pick it up and I'm leafing through it. And the lady comes over to talk to me. And I said, this is a really fabulous magazine. She's like, yeah, I know. We love it. We saw a lot of them. I'm like, the photography is amazing.
That was you. Oh, man. Yeah. So fun story. The guy that owns that store up in Estes Park actually owns a clothing store in Lincoln. And he is the guy that officially dresses all of the coaches and everything for Husker Sports. And I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head. And it's I think is it Jesse? No, that was back in the day. Gary Novotny. That's who it is. I believe his name is Gary Novotny, and he owns a store in Lincoln. And I have his business card sitting right here, so I'm not that good of a memory. But yeah, Gary Novotny, I think that's his name, and he's the owner of the store there. But he owns a clothing store in Lincoln, and dresses all of the coaches and stuff like that. So whenever you see a coach up there wearing suits, he's the guy that provides them with their stuff. Because as we all know, and being from Colorado and you're in Nebraska, nobody wears suits in these states unless it's like you're on TV. I mean,
wedding or a funeral.
Yeah, wedding, funeral. I mean, and hopefully the wedding is not on a Saturday in the fall. So, oh, look at that. There we go. Oh, Gary Michaels. That's it. Gary Michaels Clothiers is them. But and then there you go. Thanks, Honky. He's got that. So it's Gary Michaels Clothiers. That's a free advertisement too. We should get them to sponsor the show. Maybe they can give us all suits to wear the games all the time, and I think there you go. Ridgeline Hotel Convention Center, September 8th, 2023 at South Vrain Avenue in Estes Park. The Battle in Boulder. Wow, that's a really creative use of the end there.
I might have to look at that, because the last time
we're so dumb we don't even know how to spell in.
The last time that Nebraska played out there and I covered that game, I actually went out a few days earlier, went up to Estes Park, got a room somewhere and just like hung out for a couple days. Cool. And then I drove down through the mountains, came down through Boulder.
My wife and I occasionally will go like an overnight date night, and we'll stay up in Estes Park, like, just get like an Airbnb or cabin. They've got great restaurants up there. They've got Big Red of the Rockies is there, and lots of ice cream and candy stores. So yeah, absolutely worth going. And the
tourist destination.
Yeah, and Elkins Distillery is up there. They've got some pretty good whiskey going on out of that place.
Oh no, that's not the glass that I have. We got a couple of their glasses last time we were up there.
Yeah, and then they've got a brewery or two up there. I'm sure everywhere has breweries in Colorado.
Everybody's got a brewery now.
Yeah, breweries, dispensaries, and whiskey. That's what we do here in Colorado. So, and they're all in the mountains. So that's what we do. And when I say mountain, I'm not going to pronounce the T, because I've lived here long enough now. T's are no longer part of my vocabulary. It's the mountains, right?
Right.
So you should go up to the mountains and shred the gnar, brah. Yeah. So
that was very Boulder.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, like I said, I did work there. Oh yeah, check out Snarfs too. I'm trying to say positive things about CU after that whole rant too. So yeah, check out Snarfs too. They've got some of the best sandwiches in town. They toasted sandwiches. They've got some great always get it with the peppers every single time. And I think you find Snarfs down on Pearl Street, on the east end of Pearl Street, closer to Folsom.
Eat last time.
Yeah, it's good stuff down there, man.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, Snarfs and Santiago's breakfast burritos up on the hill. There you go. So, we got anything else for tonight, man? We've been at this for a little while already.
How long have we been at this already?
About an hour.
Yeah. Did we cover everything we wanted to cover?
I mean, I just wanted to see you, man. I missed you. I saw you at the spring game. I saw you in October. I figured, every couple months, if I don't make contact with you, something's wrong in my life. So I figured I might as well, get together with you, have a nice little Monday night show.
Well, sure. It was nice to, it just seemed like a good time to come on and talk some photos, since we were wrapping up the year with it.
Yeah, it's true. And and if you haven't, by the way, I didn't say this at the beginning of the show, and I probably should have, but if you are not already subscribed to Hail Varsity, you can use Redcast at checkout to receive a 10% discount on your first year subscription of Hail Varsity magazine, which can be mailed directly to your house. It's fantastic. I mean, I have editions here like all the time. I'm off screen here a little bit, but I've got this one, What Happens Now. It's the last edition. great pictures going on. There's the Turning Points edition.
It's the one that's just
and
it's brand new.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, 90% of why I love this is the pictures. And I'm not just saying this to like blow smoke up your ass or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's like, seriously, when you go through here and you're reading the article, the pictures 80% of the time tell the story, right? And literally, there's your story. You've got, the baseball, and then there's some, a little blurb in the corner for it, so
Right.
it's like, it's just some fantastic journalism, photojournalism, fantastic journalism in general. I know that, everybody's out here, Brandon Vogels, Jacob Padilla, all these guys writing these stories, and while a lot of the events in the magazine have already happened, that's kind of the thing with print these days, is that,
Yep.
it's always happened. The stories these guys are telling are worth going back and reliving those moments, right?
Well,
So it's,
our writers take the exact same tact and strategy that we do as photographers, where because of the nature of what we do, it's a magazine that's not going to hit the stands for sometimes. Well, I'll shoot an event and I know nobody's going to see it
Mhm.
in the magazine for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. So we're trying to put together more timeless bits of content, right? Because in that time frame, even during the season, when things can happen more immediately, by the time our magazine gets printed and gets in everybody's mailbox, talk radio and the newspapers and the web has talked about all the obvious stuff
Mhm.
ad nauseum.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, with the photo side and the word side, we're trying to dig a little bit deeper and to give a little bit deeper insight into things.
Absolutely.
And from the picture standpoint, what it's always my goal in particular, because I just know how I think when I pick up my cameras. And when we choose photos for the magazine, it's always my goal to show our readers and our viewers something they hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
In a way they hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Show them something unexpected.
Well, you're doing it. I mean, some of these pictures are just amazing. You know what I mean? As well, I should say all of these pictures, because I don't want to get in trouble for saying one of the best again, because I did that once. I got yelled at by the 94 pipeline in front of a lot of people. So no, all of your pictures are great. But
No, not all of them are great.
yeah.
Some of them are useful. Some of them are great.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Well, as tradition, I'm going to give you the parting shot here on the Redcast. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening tonight, because, it's been a while. I'm happy to be back. Hopefully, I'll be planning out a couple more shows. Eric, you are welcome anytime. If you just want to come in and sit with us and BS with us, if there's something you really want to talk on, our platform is always open to you. And if you have not listened yet why don't you give yourself a little bit of a plug there for your podcast?
Well, we've been doing it for what, 6 months now or so.
Yeah.
Brady Altman's and I from the magazine. We started up a little thing last fall called the Eye Test.
If you're not following them, follow them on wherever you subscribe to any of your podcasts. It's the Eye Test, and it's fantastic. It really is.
We try and take a little bit different tact and not rehash all the stuff that everybody else talks about all the time, because right now we're just going about every 2 weeks. So
yeah,
we have to, just like the magazine, we have to dig a little deeper and be a little timeless. So, but I always enjoy, for me, my motivation was I always enjoy talking about the intangibles of sports and competition, and not so much the X's and O's and recruiting and blah, blah, blah. I'm more interested in how we build better young men, and how we build competitive athletes, and how do we teach them to be tough and have grit and all of those, the little bit more of the psychological stuff that I really, really enjoy talking about. And I think we've done pretty good so far, getting some pretty good guests. I think
you've had some great ones, especially the sports psychologist who is I think he works with your son at
He's the sports psychologist at my son's school,
yeah,
and
so
he's amazing. I'm actually working.
that was my favorite episode, by the
We're
way.
actually considering bringing him back on a regular basis
because that guy like worked for the government or something for a while, right? Like the CIA or the FBI or something like that.
Yeah,
So
he in the podcast he gives the whole story, but basically the way he self-described it as it was his job to make the enemy shoot themselves in the foot.
yeah.
And that's the guy, that's the sports psychologist at my son's school. I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, we can't wait to steal him away to Lincoln. So,
Yeah.
well, like I said again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Make sure you check out Eric Francis's with him and Brady Altman on the eye test. You can find that on any of your podcast platforms out there. It is a Hail Varsity podcast, and make sure that you tune in to some of our upcoming shows here on the Redcast. And with that, I'd like to say it's another Go Big Redcast. Go Big
A Herd at Sports Network production.